I'd like to call to order the meeting of December 18, 2018. Would you all please stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance to the flag?
Lord, bless those who hold office in our government. Help them to do their work in a spirit of wisdom, kindness, and justice, and to use their authority to serve our citizens faithfully. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Here. 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 Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Here. Here. You'll receive the meeting minutes from December 4th. Any comments or questions on those? Hearing none, they'll stand as presented. Receive the Planning Commission meeting minutes from December 11th. Any comments on those? If not, we will move right into number 8. Rob Herrick with Master Plan Builders is here regarding approval of 3-unit townhomes on lot number 2, qualifying under section 4, paragraph E of the new CRA ordinance. Come up.
Good evening. Everybody's in attendance here. Hopefully everybody has a Merry Christmas. Appreciate you guys hearing us tonight. Would you like to hear a little spiel about why we're coming in front of you this evening versus... Okay. Well, 15 years ago, we developed property in Old Saybrook. Actually, we developed more, ironically, than we initially authorized one of the contractors to buy, and we bought additional infrastructure, so we used it and put it in the ground. That was back in 2003. 2004, I believe it was completed. This land's been sitting vacant since that time. So, after bearing all the carrying costs, especially interest, taxes, etc., we have not been able to make the numbers work on finishing the development on this section of lake. The intent is to utilize the CRA, continue to build 2-story townhouses, so the architectural look of the community remains the same, versus modifying it to duplexes to fit the CRA in its current form. The CRA actually provides us to apply for 3plexes, but they classify them as residential or commercial. So therefore, we need your approval to build 3plexes as we initially intended to do back in 2003. Without the CRA, financially, we cannot meet the debt service covenant to complete the project. So the CRA is the tool, it is the avenue, it is setting us up to finish off the community. One of the things I'd like to just mention is that, you know, before we, Master Plan Builders or Mr. Harris, look at developing, you know, another parcel or building more houses, we sure like to clean up, you know, our own house, our own lots, finish the community we started. And I think the city respects that as well, as far as people that had an investment in here. If we can, you know, finish lots or infrastructure that's already in place, whether it be vacant, build up on commercial structures, or whether it be vacant property, I think it's wise to look at what we have, clean that up, and then move forward. And that's what we do internally. Is, you know, we want to look at what we have. Let's clean this up, whether it be, you know, something like Old Saybrook, which is in-house, or whether it be even somebody else's property in Columbiana, like the Back Bay, like Arrowhead. So, you know, we think it's important to finish Old Saybrook not only for us, but for the residences as well. This property will be used to, lease out long-term, tenants. We have a minimum of 2 years. We actually, right now have, an incentive for all leases to go 3 years. So, we're not looking for, transient tenants, we're looking to establish residents in Old Saybrook. And then we actually provide a mechanism, a tool, to move up to a single-family house in Old Saybrook, or to another property. So we do provide a mechanism there that allows our customers to grow. If life changes, we want to be there when it changes for them to satisfy their family's needs. So, one thing that I'm going to ask in addition to allowing it to be approved through the CRA is, I believe in section, I want to say it's 5. I'm not sure yet, because this is the first round, getting a tax exemption, for commercial property or throughplex. I'm not sure if section 5 applies to us or not. If it does, I'd ask that the director, waive the application fee. If it doesn't, I'm not sure if it's going to be classified as a commercial property regarding the application fee. The application fee is an annual fee, and it's a little, I've read a little bit about it, and the director has the authority when it goes back to the Ohio Revised Code, to have the authority to waive. So it's in our ordinance. I'm holding here as the director if it was council, but it's actually the director. So I ask that you waive as well. Any questions?
Rob, do you have an idea how quickly you think you'd be able to fill these?
Yeah, yes. We are actually taking reservations now, and we are reserving, the units that aren't even approved yet, the contingent upon tonight. We started advertising on Friday, and I already have, 4 people lined up to meet this week to take reservations. So the need is there, the need is there for quality. Regarding a covenant that I need to meet personally, they all have to be moved in 18 months. So that's a personal company covenant that I have to abide by to build up this project. So they are going in there, they are going in quickly. So we will have all of them started, 100% for sure in, 2019, and then the few will be completed the following spring.
What makes you believe that you can fill these with that rental units, those rental units next door?
Maxwell Builders has been known to have a superior quality for taking it directly to rentals. We are building, we're actually marketing them as executive suites. They're going to be done a little bit differently. No carpet, all hardwood floors throughout, granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, and they're at a price. The CRA allows us to build a higher level of quality and still have a marketable lease as our competition. So they will be a superior product. In no shape, way, or form am I worried about occupying them with the competition next to me. But that's just my personal belief. So that I have to be confident in, my day-to-day operations, and I feel that we have I don't know of any other rental units in our area that will compete look-wise. We have standard 9-foot ceilings throughout, open banister on the staircase, attached 2-car garages in all of them, gas furnaces, gas hot water tanks, super efficient. We have 4 layers of 5-inch drywall separating the units with resilient channel and insulated walls. So there's basically soundproof going from side to side. On and on. We're just going to do things the right way. We plan on owning them for as long as I'm around. We don't plan on building them and selling them as a package. They're going to be owned by Master Plan Builders in Old Saybrook, actually by the corporation, and we're going to hang on to them.
So it's like 14 units?
There's 14 units in the lot number 2. Lot number 2 is actually the second lot that was from the Old Saybrook original plat of lot 1. So that's how long this property's been around. We keep making it smaller and smaller, but it's time to finish it. KDC next to us, a little different market mentality. That whole front of R3, I believe it is, in the R3 PUD, it'd be nice to have it completed. We're also going to create a landscape buffer between us and KDC's property. but all in all, I mean, we want them to be in 18 months and fully occupied, and that's what we have to, that's what we commit to.
Well, I can attest to the quality of your homes, but I have one. And, this is the third home that I've built. And I can't say enough for the construction.
Thank you, appreciate that,
It's really great.
especially on the record.
Hope you never have to go back now.
The rest of this development is rental property also?
No, the rest of the townhomes?
Yeah, right.
The rest of the townhomes.
In the white there?
I'm gonna flip it around here. I mean, I have a little larger floor plan if you'd like to see, you know, through the brushes.
You want this?
Yeah, it's all across. I must have left it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, the rest of the white there is, those are existing townhomes that are previously completed. We have 3 of them as rentals, and there's another gentleman that has 3 as well as rentals. We originally had, a dozen, in those, during the tough times of the recession. We were stuck with a dozen of them, and we created a lease-to-own package on those. So that helped stabilize the resale valuation. We were able to sell them at well, maybe a little higher than the market value would bear at the time, and we gave a tool for people to create. We gave 30% back and gave people a tool basically to create a down payment. So, so we kept 3 of them when it was all said and done, and they wanted, a couple of them are which has been a blessing to have them for different people, and not everybody's in the, you know, not everybody's in the point in their life where maybe purchasing is an ideal situation. So having a quality property they can rent and something that I'm proud to own, and then at any time when they are ready, maybe they get married or maybe, you know, the kids move out or whatever they, maybe they have, you know, a few kids and they grow out of a townhome, there's an opportunity with master plan to move up to a single family home in the back of the development, or, you know, purchase a carriage home at a different point in their life, or, you know, but these rentals, there's 14 of them. We're asking for, 1 ranch style threeplex, and the remaining will be 2-story threeplexes, and there'll be 1 ranch duplex, which just fits on the property a little better. So, the intent basically is always to build, threeplexes. If I have to transition to duplexes, I don't know if I will, but if I have to, the 2-story threeplexes will just look kind of funny. So they won't look like the pictures show. Will kind of, I mean, architecture, they won't really fit in. So, you know, for us, it's, you know, I could probably squeeze it in there, but it's with the same number of units, but I don't think, you know, I think a trip here makes it life a little easier, and have approval by council, to allow the existing vision, to be fulfilled. I mean, as you know, I mean, the townhouses in Old Saybrook, just from, you know, the police department and other people in town, I think that we've done a fairly decent job as far as, just creating a neighborhood that people want to live in. There's not, you know, there's not really, it's a safe environment, is what I'm trying to get to, in Old Saybrook. And you take, you know, the kids go for a late night walk and not worry about them. I mean, there's a lot of pros in Old Saybrook, and I mean, it's a place that I actually raised my kids. So, I just, you know, I was on the phone with a client today that called, we listed, leads for leaks on Friday, and, they have an 8-year-old daughter, and they're moving back into the Canfield area, and they heard about Columbiana's, you know, growth, and they decided that they were picking a school system for their kids. And they decided, hey, your daughter, you know, and I was able to convey to them, how, you know, how well the Columbiana school system's doing, how safe the area is, and, you know, if you go back into Canfield, which isn't, you know, which is still a nice community, it's a different type of community than Columbiana. And, you know, we went over the pros of Columbiana and the cons of other areas, and, you know, all in all, it's a meeting for Saturday, they're excited about it too. So, and you see the CRA not only makes it, you know, it makes the numbers work, but because it works so well, we're able to offer a higher quality build a better product, so in 25 years from now, that product is, has, all plywood construction cabinets, nicer floors and granite countertops, and just built with premium studs and insulation. It's gonna look a lot better, it's gonna higher resale, and therefore the community itself, hopefully, if we build enough high-quality homes, we'll have a higher resale, so we can drag up, existing homes that maybe aren't of nice quality. So I think it's important this is just a tool, I guess, to continue the quality in construction. Because right now, it's a very competitive, atmosphere out there.
I think this is the kind of thing that the TRA was exactly meant for. I mean, to have 14 new families.
And the finish, the big thing to finish, I think, finishes the right way. So, that's what I hope you, one thing we get from this is I want to finish the old Sabre and continue to finish the single-family homes.
The existing property there, they're triplexes too?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any idea on the price point?
For lease? Yeah, they started at $1,050, and the middle units, $1,100 for the outside units, and $1,250 for the ranches. And the executive suites are $100 more per month to add on the executive suite package. And there's, we actually waive the $100 fee if you sign a 3-year lease. So we want there to be long-term tenants. With the executive suite package, you get stainless steel appliances, washer and dryer, granite countertops, 3 paint colors, all hardwood look flooring. You get a ton of options. So we're waiving that $100 just to make sure that we're getting long-term tenants. The other thing we're doing is we're also offering executive services. So we have a company set up to go in and to do a spring cleaning every year, and also do monthly cleanings if the client wants to apply for that service. So we're trying to make this, hiring community one step up above, competition with that office.
How many rooms are in these?
The 3 bedrooms in the outside units, which we call them the ballrooms, and the middle units have 2 bedrooms. And then all the ranch ones will likely have 2, actually there'll be a 2-bedroom version, a 3-bedroom version of the ranch one as well. So, all 9-foot ceilings on the first floor. They all have outdoor areas, whether it be a front porch or a side patio.
I know there's a shortage of homes for small homes, so this would fix that situation.
It does, and as a builder, I mean, we understand everybody's in a different walk in their life, so, the idea though, is I mentioned that 3-year lease and 2-year lease, the way the lease actually works is, once it's signed, it actually, instead of 3 years down the road of negotiating a new annual lease, it's actually set up to have to follow inflation, to keep the clients in there, and then they give them a 90-day out. So they could have 90-day out policy, basically a 90-day termination policy after the lease is finalized. So we don't want to sit back down and renegotiate, so we already have it automatically set up.
Nice.
And so it's designed basically. My last tenant that lived in 14 Town Store Boulevard, which is opposing these, they were there for 14 years. So we're trying to keep our tenants and keep them in a nice place.
Well, I just have a technical question about the fees. Since this is all relatively new to us, maybe we could do a recap, because I'm assuming if we approve one, allowing them not to have fees, then that would be standard procedure. Pretty much, we'll set precedent. I'm just asking those questions.
That's an important question. I have a question as well on the overall procedure. When I saw the package and everything, I think it's a great idea, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But there's a thing online from Ohio Community Reinvestment Area Program that has a detailed procedure for how you approve an individual contract, and I have to bring in one page of it that has 12 different steps for how you're supposed to proceed on this. I have no idea whether or not this applies to us, or if we have our own already established or whatever. My concern is that anything that we may move on tonight may compromise the ability to provide the agreement to you later on. And it could cause court challenges, that sort of thing. Mark, I don't know how much you've looked at this. I hope
I've looked at it, I'm actually trying to look at some things right now. You know, I think everyone up here agrees that what Rob's proposing is great, but I think considering this is kind of like an early application with a housing council that's just being set up, which of course doesn't approve this, council or the housing officer does, my advice is, let's take this, let's give ourselves time to make sure we're following the right procedure,
Right.
dotting the i's and crossing the t's, because this is something that, the designation, the whole scheme can be challenged.
Right.
Hesitate to mention that, but it is something that can be, so we wanna make sure we do it right, so that we don't put you in a difficult position in reliance on something that we find out, oops, we didn't follow all the steps we need to.
No, I agree.
So, I mean, this goes through steps of, you know, submitting the application, a negotiating committee to come up with the proper, you know, agreeing to terms and conditions of the CRA, you know, it goes through notifications of, potentially notification of school districts, which we have at least 2 that we need to notify, I guess, or could, and then goes through where council gets involved pretty much, you know, like step 7, where we, pass a resolution or ordinance to approve it. So, I mean, I don't wanna slow it down, I don't wanna stop it, but I wanna make sure we do it right. And, I'm just like everybody else, I think this is exactly why we originally submitted all the paperwork, but let's get it done right. I'll give you, if you want this copy, I'm happy to
Yeah,
pass it on to you.
I think, yeah.
Are you looking for maybe a vote of confidence of that this is the kind of thing you're looking for?
Well,
I'd like to make a motion that we direct our, city manager and solicitor to, formalize the process for how this is done, using this project as the, you know, the example, whatever.
The pilot.
The pilot, yeah.
Well, you don't know where, it was a really good, presentation. You know, I think everyone up here feels as positive about it as you exuberate your energy, you exhibit your energies about it. I think that, you know, you're carrying a little bit on the side of caution.
Could I just, should we get a second of that motion? You made it.
I made a motion.
You made a motion.
Sorry about that.
I'd like to second the motion.
Now you can have conversation.
No,
Yeah.
that's all.
if I could just speak, yeah, I'm willing to do things the right way, obviously, because there's a lot at stake. However, would like to create a timeframe as far as, you know, keep the process moving along, because, you know, it's, I would have to turn down other contracts to move forward with this. I have enough opportunities next year to focus our energies, and I wanna make sure that, you know, our
Totally understand.
what we're, you know, I know what I'm doing in March and April and May, so,
Yeah.
I don't want it to be, right now, you know, I have a closing set up for this already scheduled, so I just, you know, a rough day, but still, I'd like to try to figure out what the timeframes are, as far as, because I can't wait 2 months or a month, so, it'd have to be, you know, relatively soon, in the next couple meetings.
Any idea how long it'll take, Mark?
I think that first step is probably just city manager and I meeting and kind of going over this. I honestly think that we're pretty far along in this process, and, you know, from all of my reading, this is the kind of thing that the state kind of leaves up to municipalities to set it up, follow the procedure. You know, our involvement comes in when the courts become involved. And if you have questions, but I don't really know how much involvement there is on the state level. Lance can speak to that too, because he's actually spoken with some people about CRA, and it's kind of like, I'm comparing it to the DORA, and it's kind of like, okay, you notify these state agencies of what you're doing, and that's basically, thank you for notification, now proceed the way you are, and as long as we follow the statutory framework, I think we're okay. But honestly, I would like to have a couple of weeks since we are just being presented with this, and I think Lance may agree with me that better be safe, than find out we made a mistake. And that would cost, master plan dearly from what I can tell from what Rob's just said. I think we need to take a couple of weeks, and make sure we're right.
Okay. I mean, is it safe to say we could revisit this first meeting in January?
Yeah, that's what I think we do, but just say, it's January 2nd, right?
Third.
Or,
That's on
Second.
Wednesday, correct?
that's on Wednesday. I mean, we can aim for it.
I have a subsequent meeting on it would be the 8th, would be a Tuesday in January regarding this. So that's why I would like to resolve it by then, or at least have a vote of confidence by then.
I think it's a good goal to, aim for the next meeting, see what we can come up with. Due diligence is important for both sides of us.
I'm understanding entirely, and I do agree that I read that in and out, and I'm by no means understanding it a lot like you, but it references back and forth, and it's difficult to understand, and you are constantly.
It is, this concept isn't brand new, it's been around for decades. It's been recently kind of changed a little bit, so with some of those changes, I think the General Assembly made some good changes to it, but we want to make sure that we don't misstep. My job is to prevent us from making missteps, and unfortunately, sometimes my job is, okay, once we make a misstep, now what? So, I'd rather err on the side of caution.
I think you've heard your comments up here that you do a vote of confidence with this.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what we want to do.
Yeah.
I'd sure hate to see you go through a couple of closings and have to go back and tell them, just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that, but with business, there's a planning period, and that's one thing that, I don't want to miss out on, is the opportunity for the spring planning period, because we're in the middle of hiring people, hiring subs, employees, and negotiating, with suppliers right now. So time is always of the essence, but.
I don't think if you came in here 6 months from now and we'd already gone through this, that there would be any question as to the time frame.
You just have.
Well, the whole procedure would be.
That's what I mean, I think that just because you're dealing with something unknown, no one can say yet of this day.
Okay, now second, so while I'm up here and have everybody's attention, while you guys are discussing that, you could also check on, individuals as well, for individual residential properties, because I don't believe there's an application yet.
It's not formed yet.
So we do need to get an application. I have a half a dozen ready to go that we need to, formalize. So, again, it's going back to the spring time frame again. So, our first one will be February, start February, May. And talk to, I talked to somebody today from, a bank, that I've encouraged them, when they pre-approve people, they approve them two separate ways, in the city limits and outside the city limits. Because the CRA is allowing them to afford more than, they'd otherwise be able to. So if they're able to build a $250,000 house or $300,000 house in the city limits versus a smaller home elsewhere. And for a approval process, that's huge, because they go back to the homeowner's, debt service, and the CRA is allowing them to build a higher quality home. So I do feel like we're gonna have a rush of applications coming in after the first of the year for something to look at.
That's great.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you, Rob.
Thank you, sir.
I'd just like to
Oh,
add,
we didn't vote on my motion?
No, yeah.
conversation on it.
builder and the municipal attorney to formalize the process using this project as a pilot project.
Before I call for the roll, I think it's still the right time to say, there's been several articles in the paper from the local schools, and I think this is a perfect example of where maybe there's misunderstanding on their part. Because in 2 weeks of having this even done to the point where we don't even have the processes set up yet, you're one builder and developer and talking about bringing 20 new families into the community in 2 weeks. So I think the potential is absolutely huge. Those will all be new families, new income tax that comes to the city, that goes to the school. This isn't costing anyone. It's investing in the future, and I'm glad that you're finding clients that are seeing the potential of that, because I think it's going to permanently change the dynamic of our community for the better, and grow it. Thank you for taking the bull by the horns. It's not fun being the first.
And there's just a good chance that the families that move into those developments may or may not have kids. So they may not cost the schools anything in terms of additional costs for students.
But they will get more money.
They will in the long run, if you look at the complete circle of it, okay, they're gonna shop in our community, there'll be tax in our community, the school will still get their 1% tax.
Right.
The builder will hire subcontractors who will have to pay while they're building. It's a full circle.
Absolutely.
So, but, you know, it's going to come back to them in the long run. Patience is a quality that we all have
Well,
to work with.
To be short-sighted is just ludicrous. I mean, the potential is there, the money is there on day one, and it's gonna continue to compound, and then at the 10th or 15th year, whatever it has to be, there's gonna be a windfall to the school.
In addition to the income tax, it was new from day one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, day one growth. So I don't know where it's coming from. I was very disappointed to see, the article from Crestview School Board. I can't figure out why they were even trying to wade into it. The street they were referencing, my understanding is not even in the.
Yeah, I think there's a small portion of it that's.
It's not in the city.
It's not.
No.
Not only is it not, I called the treasurer there today and asked them, to tell me how much money they were currently receiving from people that live on that street from the city, and they couldn't tell me. They have no way of knowing.
Yeah.
So they made a fuss about a dollar amount that they don't know, the residents are already there what they're paying. I think that it's just fear of unknown and a knee-jerk reaction without knowing the reality of the situation. So again, we'll be at the forefront. There's gonna be some feathers probably ruffled, but at the end of the day, it's a very good thing. It's just if you don't understand it, you can't see the forest through the trees. But I think we're seeing it.
Fear causes a lot of things to happen, and if you don't truly understand it, then you're going to exhibit, you know, those pains. And, you know, it's gonna take a little bit of education time, but, I do believe that, we're headed in the right direction. You know, I think it will assist us in, you know, keeping our windows full uptown and other places in the community.
Yeah.
Off the vote.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to, okay, that's the point of conversation before the vote, I wanted to make sure that got said tonight, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, call for the roll, please.
Becker?
Yes.
Savage?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Liston?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Now we'll move into our manager's report.
Okay. I did, put in the manager's report, the door process, again, just for your reference, the, January 15th meeting. Moving on, the civil service test that we scheduled for December 15th, for the dispatcher was postponed due to the lack of applicants. So, we're gonna try it again, and, see if we get anything else. They pushed it out. I don't remember exactly what date they settled on, but, they're gonna take another stab at it. We still have survey crews out at West Salem Street, for that improvement project. I did get a call, even since the packets went out from, Mr. Bert Dawson, called me Friday personally to tell me that we made it through, a level for that OPWC funding, so that's at 0% interest. So we made it through the districts, if you will, and, you know, we're going through the state, so.
Good.
And he thought that was a really good sign, so. I appreciate the call. West Salem Street, we've got crews out there with, not anymore this week, I think we finished that up. And that, the big greens that I'm applying for, deadline, another hard deadline is the 21st. So that's, I'll be finishing up in the next couple of days. And, it's really tough to get to the point that we've gotten to, so it's exciting. Attended a USDA meeting to finish up the water treatment plant project, and we're just down to a few punch list items. So, that's going well. We should finish that up. I would say next month we'll have one last meeting, and then they would come back, around the next year for a follow-up. I'd like to thank the chief for, getting that metal detector operational. Appreciate that. Street department, we're catching up with leaves last week, and we hope to finish this week. We've been, patching holes and, hot mix in some places for final work for, some of the road cuts that we've done recently. RCAP, water department, continue to work with RCAP on the asset management plan. As you recall, in the summer, we applied for a $20,000 loan, and then at the same exact time, we applied for a loan forgiveness thing through the EPA. We got notification of that today, that went through, the $10,000 grant. We just, not, I shouldn't say grant, but it is a $10,000 that we will not have to pay back. So that was more good news. Wastewater, we, serviced a level logger at the north end lift station, also up Metz Road. We changed to at least one float. We've had several issues with the heater, out at the brick building. I think we may have to bring somebody else in to, help us do that. We'll be doing that in the next few weeks. Civilian project, it should be finishing up any day now. I've not made contact with them this week. They could have even been out there, this week or today. They were not out yesterday. But the street department will be helping a little bit on that project when that happens, so we really appreciate everybody working together. For the electric department, we've, finished up those, the KVC, first phase of the electric. That's all in. And we finished the underground primary for the new building, out at, the industrial park. That was right behind, Graph Electric. I think they came from the commission earlier. And we had to call in a contractor to help us. We had a pole break in the backyard, and I think somebody said when they walked in today, it was one of the wettest years on record. And, we couldn't get back into this yard, so they brought this unit in that had some type of ability to get, crawl back there and not sink, and able to, change that pole out for us, so we appreciated that. And then, we had that line extension out past, Creek Road to McCloskey Road, finished that up, and we ended up needing, some help on that, but I think that's everything I have, Frank.
You'll receive the, bill list for December 18th. Any comments or questions on it? If not, moving to old business. Due to the length of the ordinances, can I have a motion to read them by title only?
So moved.
Roll call.
Robert?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Melano?
Yes.
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-2984, second reading. An ordinance establishing dates of regularly scheduled council meetings and meetings of boards and commissions for the calendar year 2019 and directing the publishing and posting of this ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? A roll call?
McBain?
Yes.
Liston?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Becker?
Yes.
Sauter?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-2985, second reading. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Quality Lines Incorporated, 2440 Bright Road, Findlay, Ohio, 45840, for the furnishing of all labor, material, and equipment necessary for State Route 7 and 14 distribution loop project.
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? Have roll call?
Liston?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Becker?
Yes.
Sauter?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-2986, second reading. An ordinance amending appropriation ordinance 18-0-2949 by adding $307,000 in the general fund, $46,000 in the cemetery fund, $26,750 in the park fund, $6,500 in the police pension fund, $2,500 in the street fund, $7,500 in the emergency medical services fund, $1,300 in the Firestone Park Bandstand Music Fund, $59,150 in the water fund, $52,000 in the sewer fund, $57,400 in the electric fund, $307,000 in the income tax fund, and $15,000 in the fire fund, all for the payment of current expenses as they may arise. And before you say anything, I'd like to note that the last line, $15,000 in the fire fund, all for the payment of current expenses as they may arise, was added here, so this would be a motion to approve as amended.
I'd like to make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Any comment? Roll call?
Fox?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Becker?
Yes.
Sauter?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Liston?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-2987, second reading. An ordinance transferring $280,000 from the income tax fund, $140,000 to the general fund, and $140,000 to the capital improvement fund, all for the payment of current expenses as they may arise.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Roll call?
Noel?
Yes.
Becker?
Yes.
Sauter?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Liston?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-2988, second reading. An ordinance transferring $170,000 from the general fund, $140,000 to the special assessment bond retirement fund, and $30,000 to the cemetery fund, all for the payment of current expenses as they may arise.
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? A roll call?
Becker?
Yes.
Sauter?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Liston?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-2989, second reading. An ordinance to make temporary appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Columbiana, state of Ohio, for the first 3 months of the year 2019, ending March 31st, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Roll call?
Sauer,
Yes.
McBain,
Yes.
Liston,
Yes.
Bug,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-2990, second reading. An ordinance establishing a wage schedule for certain full-time and part-time employees of the city of Columbiana.
So moved. Second.
Any comments? Roll call?
McBain,
Yes.
Liston,
Yes.
Bug,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-2991, second reading. An ordinance amending section 1 of ordinance number 18-0-2956, establishing rates of pay for part-time employees of Firestone Pool for the city of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Comments? Roll call?
Liston,
Yes.
Bug,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
McBain,
Yes.
I have a motion to appoint 2 council members to the Volunteer Firefighters Dependents Fund Board.
Who's on it now?
Chet and I.
Are you two willing to consider?
I would certainly like to serve again.
Yeah, I do. No problem.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Jan Becker and Ted Sauer to the firefighters defense fund board.
I'll second that.
Any comment? Roll call?
Bug,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Becker,
Abstain?
Sauer,
Abstain.
McBain,
Yes.
Liston,
Yes.
Good thing you're only 6 here.
The extension schedule.
Don't. Can I have a motion to read this resolution as an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Noel,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
McBain,
Yes.
Liston,
Yes.
Bug,
Yes.
Resolution number 18-R-531, emergency. An emergency resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement to purchase certain real estate deemed necessary and appropriate for the continuing and efficient operation of the city of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? Roll call?
Becker,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
McBain,
Yes.
Liston,
Yes.
Bug,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Anyone from the public desiring to address council this evening? Hearing none, we'll go into council comment.
I know I brought up recycling a couple weeks ago. I've been doing some of my own research. I'm not sure, Lance, if you've, followed up on anything I've sent you or found any answers for things. I do know that, I've been unable to locate a student that was interested in the recycling project. You found them? Good, okay. Her. But, I just, I really wanna keep pushing forward with this. I know that there are multiple grants out there to get the receptacles, and, I just I'm gonna keep putting it out there. I just found some facts I'd like everybody to look at in regards to recycling, and, get that information out to us that you found as soon as possible.
Yeah, my answer is that, we intend to try it this spring. We're just gonna put a couple receptacles out there and see how it goes. I talked to Terry, who, the park employees who service those right now. We're looking into right now what receptacle, but, they already do this out at the pool, for the concession. So, the receptacle that they're using is cardboard right now, that's not gonna work. All we've gotta do is look for, some receptacles.
So how does that work now? And how much of that, recycling is contaminated?
As far as where?
Well, it,
You mean at the pool?
pool.
It's, you didn't see if there was any problems with it.
You have to understand that, like, our kids of this generation, they're recycling every day at the school. Every single classroom has a receptacle, so they know what is recyclable, what is not. I know my generation has been brought up with recycling being something that we should be doing. So, really, the education of recycling and how to do it properly is, unfortunately, going to be of the older generation, and I don't think it's going to be as difficult as maybe some of the people out here are thinking, because it's up and coming. If you read anything about these new developments of cities and infrastructure, there's so much where the green living, citizens want to go to where communities are green. And if we keep talking about growth and the CRA and stuff like that, this is just another way to make our city more appealing to the younger generation. Instead of, as we've heard up here, every year our average age goes up, let's bring in the younger people by showing them that we actually want to be progressive.
But I agree with you. I will be a little contradictory, because my parents' generation used to throw cans out of the car as they were driving down the road inside. I think it's only certain times. I think it really, my generation, some of us up here that were the ones that really started recycling long ago. And I know in my travels around the country, anytime I pull into a rest area along most of the interstates and everything, they have recycling bins to collect everything. Cans go into this one, bottles go into this one, papers go over here, and then they have normal trash receptacles too. But I mean, I think this is something that there's no reason in the world why you can't figure out how to get it done.
Well, we recycle till my heart hurts, and, I'm all for it. But I just don't want the city to get into a position that says, well, we're recycling, but everything we collect goes in the trash.
Right, I agree with that too.
So once it becomes contaminated, nobody gets through and picks out these little things, it just all gets thrown away. So now we're really throwing money down the rabbit hole. And if we're gonna do it, we need to do it right, and that's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Any other comments?
Well, the race went well, I heard.
It went very well.
Phenomenal amount of people.
Yes.
Safety forces and everyone conducted themselves very, very nicely, didn't hear anything negative about it, so it's gonna grow and grow.
It's gonna keep growing, yes. It was our largest year yet, and the amount of stuff we were able to donate to the Giving Tree, and, we just found out about a high school student's family that is in some pretty dire need, and we're able to donate to them from the proceeds. The Boy Scouts are getting a donation. I mean, it's just what we were able to do. I took a carload of canned goods to the weigh station. It's just phenomenal, positive results from this year's event.
Any thoughts about donating some money towards, park projects,
We have in the past, it's a holiday race, and we try to keep it based upon, specific needs around the holidays, for the most part. That's not to say that, other races in the future. Park board wants to help put on a 5K, I can, help them raise some funds for that, stadium project that way.
I will say that we had a park board meeting last night, and all the comments were very positive. But one comment did come out, that they suggested you change it to a daytime race because there were so many people, with the safety issue of, dark clothes and runners in the dark, et cetera.
It would defeat the purpose of
I know that.
a run through the light show.
I relayed that information.
Thank you.
Small weight ring, that's an FYI.
Yeah, we do, we've given them out in the past, they don't, necessarily wear them.
It'd be like a glow-in-the-dark color run.
Yes.
It would kind of lead me into my comment. I feel like the last several days, there's been a lot in the paper regarding, the levy, discussion, and the council here has never even discussed it. I don't understand how it's gotten that far without it ever even being reached here. Can't say long before, but a couple weeks before this started, hitting the paper of the need for a stadium, the R&B threw a fundraiser to kind of point out what's going on, year to date, and the projects of where they're at, what they've got completed, what they've been able to raise, trying to draw awareness to the, upcoming project that they're hoping to do next year, in the park with the sports court and the costs associated with that. They've hired a professional fundraiser, and I think they have him for the next 4 or 5 months to try to continue drumming up support. And I think they're somewhere in the realm of north of 1.2 million, somewhere that they've raised towards that initial $3.5 or so million project based on the original estimates that HRG did. So, I told Pat that night that it may be the right time, to start looking at a park levy to do that. Long before the conversation of the stadium, that's been on the books and being designed for 5, 6, 7 years now.
I wanted to clarify just a little bit, and I think we're getting caught up on the word stadium, okay, rather than the word park and cemetery, because, we have a building over there that is in need of some help. There's some areas around the baseball facilities. Certainly there are, things to be looked at pool. I mean, that is an aged, building, so I don't wanna see us get caught in, you know.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
I think the exact opposite. I think that the city, long before a conversation that took place less than 2 weeks ago about a stadium, this ball has been rolling, getting to the point to be able to tackle much bigger things than one issue.
That's why
I think that, we do, as a council, you guys need to discuss it so that we can give some direction to kind of tamper down however this may be trying to be brought to the public. But there's a much larger need than one thing. And it's got a very long, history of success already backing up where it's going. So we may want to utilize the coming 4 or 5 months and seriously consider doing one, but not for a stadium, but a longer term one in general. I mean, it was a year or two ago, it was the 85th birthday of the park, right?
correct.
So if we look at the next 12, 13 years, you're looking at the 100th anniversary. If we looked at how much the fire levy brings in, which is a $2 million levy, it brings in like $270,000, $280,000 a year. If you take that over 10, 12 years, that entire project, every single piece of it, including things like the stadium, could all fall into that. So rather than just rushing and saying we need to do a levy on a stadium, there are much bigger things that need to be looked at, and there are plans in place that could fit.
We need to be very cautious also about, not dividing the
the R and B.
That's what I mean, yeah. With what they've done and where they're at, to turn around right now and say, you guys have done a good job on your own, but we're gonna go help this one small project in the scope of things would be very wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dan makes a very good point. Park Board has been discussing the possibility of a levy for the better part of this year. And what happened is 2 meetings ago, the group came about the stadium. And yes, there's a need there. And all of a sudden, our emphasis went from a park cemetery levy to now all of a sudden the perception's out there that it's a stadium levy.
Yeah.
And that is not the case. When we put a levy on for the park, we always target the exact projects that we want to do. And we've had discussions of the stick building and the cemetery, some things that need to be done at the baseball stadium, different projects in the park, and different projects in the park. It's not just stadium. And that's why the committees have been formed recently to try to differentiate that issue and what we want to do. I mean, this has just grown momentum over the last couple of months, and a very, very important part is we don't want to take anything away from R&B for what they're doing. I mean, it's just magnificent what they've been able to do. But there are other parts of the park, stadiums, school activities that need to be addressed. That's on us. So there, in my comments last night at Park Board, we need to put some organization behind this. It's getting a little bit out of control.
That's why I brought this up.
Yeah.
You can't just keep, I feel like we're council at the mercy of what everyone else are talking about, but you guys haven't even been involved.
And there's a ton of misinformation out there.
It's crazy. So, the timing is right to do something, especially with the fact that they have hired a professional fundraiser that will be working for the R&B for the next 5 months. So if we did something, over the next month or so, I think you'd have to certify to the Board of Elections by, February?
Depends on the election.
Like primary election.
If it's the primary, I believe it's probably February.
Yeah.
If it's a general election, it's usually by August. And I was gonna bring that up, that there are certain procedures that we do.
Right.
And deadlines, to get a levy on the ballot. And one other thing I do wanna bring up is that this year, in 2019, this coming year, I guess, the fire levy will also be up for renewal if you so choose, but that levy does expire in 2019, which we would still collect the taxes in 2020.
So you should probably do that for the primary as well. They would give you.
Well, we can't. You can't, when a levy is expiring that year, you cannot put it on the ballot until the general election. So that'll be going on in November, if you so choose.
So you're saying to put a fire levy and a park levy on the same ballot would not be a good thing?
I think the primary would be a good one for the park.
Actually, Ben, you can't do that unless you hold off the park levy until the general election.
Well, I'm just saying there's certain procedures that you have to follow, and there's deadlines and timelines that you just don't.
Certified at the auditor's office. And
Yeah.
There's a procedure, and Mike's right. If that fire levy expires, it can't go on until the general. So if you want to put them on together, then you are looking at the general election.
I don't think you'd want to put.
You may not want to put them on together.
No.
And is February even reasonable for this year?
Exactly.
Because I don't want this project rushed just to satisfy a few people and their concerns.
I could care less with I'm more than, because you've got a professional fundraiser.
There's
Yeah, I'd like to
there's a
help.
lot of work that has to be done in, what they really need to do. There's gonna be some engineering needs, okay, in a couple of places. So it's really gonna take some sit-down committee work, getting together, looking at, the companies out there that are on the,
Oh, you're talking for the stadium,
I'm talking about for the whole enchilada here.
because the whole thing, they do have a plan from HRG.
HRG has a plan for all of these things we're talking about?
R&B, with the exception of the stadium, R&B does have.
Okay, yes, I'll agree with that. I'm just saying, there's an awful lot of work that needs to go into before we try to hit that February date. I don't know that that's even a possibility. You know.
What do you think so?
Well, because you're gonna want to, providing this all goes positive the way we'd all like it to, there is, that stadium's been there since 1934?
82 years. 82 years, whatever.
So, I mean.
I'm trying to get back to the, to me, this isn't about the stadium at all, you can leave the stadium
Well,
out.
I know, but I'm just, well, there's a ton of thought that needs to be taken care of. You're gonna, make your gem list of what you'd like to have, and then bring it back a little bit to the Chevrolet.
No, I think that's something the park board needs to do. They're the ones that need to go through and say, here's what our priorities.
See, that's the part that concerns me right now. We have 2 meetings scheduled the early part of January. One is actually Park City budget that, and the other is with the school and the stadium group, so to speak. And as fast as this is going, people don't realize how much work there is to it.
Right.
I mean, you talk about HRG's got plans, stadium, baseball, stick building and that, we don't have plans.
Yeah, but a long-term levy, no different than when the fire levy first went on, we were gonna get a ladder truck. We didn't get it year one. And then we were gonna use it to build on the south end of town and to get extra equipment. You can have a long-term plan without having the specifics for something 6 years from now today.
That's true, but, with the fire truck, they knew, if they had done enough research on it, they knew how much it was gonna cost from a ballpark figure.
They do have that.
Yeah, and if we have those kinds of figures, then.
And that's our goal for the first part of the year. We're gonna put dollar figures and the projects together, decide what we want on a levy, and put those dollar figures together.
And that would determine what millage you wanna put on.
Right.
Right. Which is also true transparency for our folks in town.
Sure.
Well, we've always done that, and I don't want to suggest changing it at this point in time. If we put a park levy on, we're gonna spell out 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly what we're gonna do, what's gonna be done with the money. The last levy that we passed, that's exactly how we did it. When we went out and sold it, we were able to speak to exactly what we were gonna do, what it was gonna cost, and what people should expect. And I think we should do that again.
That's how you sell it in a way to get those votes that you want, is get the whole truth out there.
My thinking behind it's like Brian's. I mean, we have a great thing going on right now. And what's different about us as a city, we all have to work together. And normally the school's off on its own, doing its own thing and paying for everything. The city's separate. We're all together. And I preached this with R&B when they started. We can't fight against ourselves. The city, R&B, the park board, the tourism board, everybody's got to work together. And that's where we are now. We've got a huge mega committee put together. The suggestion came out last week about putting somebody from council or Brian on a committee. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But we've got to get the group together, we've got to get them to sit down and talk and come up with the specifics of what we want to do and what it's gonna cost.
Yeah, I also, because I haven't seen this anywhere, I think that the public needs to know that the school for decades has paid about $750 a year back to rent that stadium, that's it. So whenever they make comments like, we need to wait and see what the city's gonna do, the city's done it. We're not getting compensated anything from the school right now.
They do pay the utilities also.
Well, they would pay utilities no matter where that stadium's at.
Right.
But let me say this too, when we do projects there, like when we put the new lights on the football field, that was a 50-50 split. I mean, the city paid part, or park paid part through donations, and the school paid 50% of it. The new field was the same way, fence, I mean, so whenever there's a capital improvement in those sports areas, it's been, and I've been around a long time, it's been a pretty even 50-50 split.
With not even usage though.
That's true. But that brings up another whole issue. And just like Harvey Firestone gifted the park to us, what's the relationship that the city has with the school? Can any changes be made there? We're still working on the guidelines from 1934 and running the park.
Yeah, it's something that we should look into to see if we can give to a long-term 100-year lease the stadium to the school. Then there's no finger point back and forth of who needs to do what. The school could still have it within the park. They could keep what they
That's
want.
another whole issue.
Yeah.
I mean, and
There's
it's not a little one.
Huge. But there's a lot of ways to go about this. But to just jump in and say,
Okay, since I'm on the school board.
There's
The history of the school district and the city working together on that stadium, on all those stadiums, it has not exactly, and Ron would agree with this, it's been harmonious, but there are bumps in the road.
Yes, there
There
have
will
been.
always be bumps in the road, but the school does try to be aware of the fact that it's a public park. However, from the school standpoint, there are probably expenses that the school district pays for using those facilities that they feel, okay, we should, be able to do this, and it's always, a struggle with how much money should the school put into this, how much money should the city put into this. When you're looking at a levy that involves those facilities, especially the ones that are used by the athletes, I think you need to take the time, and the committee or the discussion needs to involve everybody. So, looking at it as we're gonna put on a levy for the park, for the stadium in February, whether everybody up here was in favor of it, really the school needs to be on board with it too, because the public is gonna say, wait a minute, who pays for what, who uses what?
you're misunderstanding. I said we
Oh,
should do it without the stadium.
No, I'm understanding exactly what you're saying,
But that
my
eliminates that
comment is
conversation.
directed towards, there are a lot of comments that seem to be out there. There needs to be a lot of discussion that takes place before any levy probably goes on that involves the stadium, because of some of the exact points that everybody is bringing up tonight, which is who uses it, who pays for it, when is it used, who has the ability to use it. Those are all discussions that need to take place before anybody would put a levy up involving the athletic facilities. That's all I'm saying. I'm
I
not
agree with
defending
you.
the school, but I'm saying, wait a minute, there's a whole lot to discuss.
Yeah, that's why I said
Yeah.
there was a much bigger thing that had nothing to do with the stadium.
I know, I would agree with that. All my point is, you can't even really talk about the stadium and say, we're gonna put a levy up in February. There's way too much discussion.
I agree with that. I was not even remotely
No.
suggesting that the
No,
stadium
and
be a
I
part
know
of it.
you weren't. I'm just saying that, if I wanna speak on behalf of the school, what I'd say is there's a lot of discussions that need to take place. And I can honestly say that there has been no school board discussion on any levy being put on for a stadium or anything else.
Same as here, right?
Yeah.
But it's been in the paper,
What?
like we're all,
No.
who's gonna name the levy, who's gonna own it? We haven't even talked about one.
I know.
Well, we have met twice with the school, at
I
the
know.
school, and that discussion's been started. And back to my original comments, it's like a train that's starting to just roll. And, we all have to work together. I mean,
Exactly.
and I agree with your comments 100%. Although we've had a very good relationship with the school and the city and the park, and there have been bumps along the road, and there's been hard feelings, but we've all been able to sit down and work it out. If we don't do all that together, we're gonna get nowhere.
Well-
We're gonna create more hard feelings than we're gonna do good.
And I don't think the public's gonna support anything that looks like the entities involved aren't even on the same page.
That's correct.
Levies, having been a veteran of numerous school levies, having been real involved in passing in school district income tax, I can tell you that any levy is a difficult thing, and I don't care if it's for the park, the city in general, or the school district. Levies are difficult things because you're asking people for money, period. And if you don't have everything in place when you do it, nobody wants to support it. I mean, there's just a whole lot to it, and like I said, I've seen a lot of levies fail, and I have all kinds of opinions of my own on why this one did or why this one didn't. But, this is a subject, when you involve the park, Ron's right, there's a lot of stakeholders, and I think everybody's gotta discuss it.
Yeah. Let me leave you with one main thought. Through all of this discussion, we don't wanna do anything to hinder R&B.
I agree.
I mean, that's paramount.
But I think that supporting financially, or the city coming alongside, not just the council, but every resident in the city, also having a little bit of skin in that game.
Right.
There is no longer a couple $1,000 donation. When you're looking at $1.5 million
Right.
of improvements being done, and more on the way, I think that it's only fair that the people that have gone that deep know that the community not only cares what they're doing, but that want to come alongside them and finish it up. So, I think that maybe my comment was taken the wrong way. I don't think this has anything to do with the stadium. I think there was already something in place that does need the support, whether the stadium had it or not.
No, I agree with you. I was just saying, any group that wants to talk about the stadium itself, there's more stakeholders involved. And although there's been meetings, I can honestly attest it hasn't been brought before the school board. So yes, from that standpoint, city council and the school board are in the same boat on this.
And lack of vote.
Yes, no vote. We're in the boat.
All right, well, I just wanted to bring attention to that, because it sure seemed like things were much further along than anyone knew.
We're at the beginning stages. We'll keep you informed of what's going on. Park board's being thrown in the middle of this, and I'm in the same position Mark is. I was on the park board for the school board through 2 levies, and I've been through 2 park levies, and I don't take any of them lightly. Another major point is here, we have to show this community that we're all in this together. I mean, the last thing I want to do, from a park standpoint, is be in the newspaper with the battle between the school, the park, and the city. That just cannot happen. It just cannot.
That would kill any project you're
Right.
trying to fund.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we've always tried park to stay out of the political aspect of things, to get things done, and,
Good luck. Any other comments? I want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you for the cookies.
Thank you.
So moved.